What's up, everybody? Jason from Straight Edge Eyes. Hey, got another knife review for you guys today, and this is actually on a knife from a company that I've never done a review on before. So this is going to be a fun one because we're going to learn about this together, guys. And when I was at SHOT Show 2025, I met Ben from KNAFS Knives, formerly of Blade HQ. You guys know Ben. He's a famous guy. He's been in the knife industry for a long time, designing. Has a lot of really popular designs with a lot of companies, but he created his own little company making their own knives, and it's called KNAFS. And here they are, guys. KNAFS Knives. I had a chance to talk to Ben, did a little video with him. Make sure you go check that out. It was from my SHOT Show 2025 coverage. And I was able to get my hands on this knife, man. And this thing is a pretty cool little blade. And there's a lot of things that I really kind of like that what KNAFS is doing. So this is the Lander 4 fixed blade. And let's get this box. So, and we're going to do an unboxing, kind of talk about the stuff. And we're going to do some testing with this as well. But knife came in a nice little box. And there's some stuff that's kind of cool with their packaging that I noticed. And I was like, I think this is worth mentioning. Ben's a really nice guy. He's got a quirky sense of humor. He was a pleasure to talk to, and it's kind of cool. Like some of the stuff that they did with their packaging. So like it says "naps" on the back. It's like rhymes with graphs and laughs. We're a goofy little company that planted our flag in the pocket knife industry. We love space kitties, quality goods, taking chances, making mistakes, and getting messy. Buckle up. We're glad you're here for the ride, and this will be fun. I know it sounds kind of weird. Like, why are you reading the back of the box? I kind of like where Ben is coming from with this company. He's like he loves knives. He's here to make knives, and he's here to have fun with it and not be so overly serious that it takes the fun out of life and takes the fun out of the knife. That's how I'm kind of looking at it, guys. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then there's a few other things with the pack. I know you're like, dude, show me the knife already. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll show you the knife, guys. Here it is. Here's the Lander 4 fixed blade in a Kydex sheath, and this is actually a really cool little blade, guys. This is going to fit a lot of EDC pocket needs right here. Look at this little guy. Really like it, man. It just has a nice feel to the hand. Just a little 3-fingered action with the little lanyard they put on there. It just kind of gives it that 4-finger. You can do a little bit of more work with it. Comes with a nice Kydex sheath. You pop this in here. That rattling you're hearing is this little screw set right here, which I think it's an extra spacer, but it comes with a little belt loop on the back that's set up for horizontal carry, but you could easily take this off and flip it around, probably make it a vertical carry or put some beta loops on here if you need to. You do have a drain hole in the back of the sheath right where the tip is so we get water in there, but very, very cool little EDC blade, and does come with some extra screws here for handles, and that's kind of something I did want to talk about with you guys. This does have some micarta handle scales, but this little packaging right here, they actually give you quite a bit of information about your knife and different things. It kind of talks a little bit about why they called it the Lander, talking about the Apollo 15 space shuttle, things like that. It's a cool little story here. I'm not going to read you the whole thing. But what I did like on here is, they have a knife maintenance section, right? You guys can see that. I know it's kind of folded up. It says, basic stuff, clean your knife. One thing I did notice they put on here that I don't see a lot of companies do, which I really wish they would. It would make a lot of our lives easier, is when it talks about sharpening the knife, it actually tells you that this blade is ground to a 20-degree angle, both sides, probably somewhere between 17 and 20. It's never absolutely perfect, but it gives you a really good starting point for sharpening your knife. There's been a lot of times you're like, is this a 25 degree? Like, especially if you're new into knives, you're not sure. And if you start trying to, like, you grab the Work Sharp field sharpener, it's set for like 20 degrees. You got a 25-degree knife. You're going to have a little bit of a harder time getting your knife sharp because you're going to have to play around with it. I really wish more companies would add their blade angle, their grinding angle, to the information on the knife, or at least list it on their website. So take note, everybody. KNAFS, Ben, awesome. I really do appreciate that. So that was something I thought was really cool. This knife does have easily swappable handle scales. And here's the other thing that I thought was super cool. it says on the back here that your knife has fast swap scales. You can remove them without disassembling the whole knife, plus they're open source. Okay. 3D print your own handle scales at home. Scan to download the scale files in STP and STL formats. I'm not 100% sure that it is, but look at that, guys. They give you a cool little QR code to scan. If you have a 3D printer or whatever, you can make your own handle scales, and they're going to be exact, to the specifications that the manufacturer made it. How many people are doing that? Giving you basically the design plan. I mean, granted, they're not like overly complicated, but still, that's super cool. I think it's a very cool thing that they did. It shows you right here how to break it down. I just think it's a very cool thing that they did that. Not a lot of companies. Actually, that's the first time I think I've ever seen a company do that. Somebody else may have done it already. I don't know, but super cool, man. So Ben, you guys over now, very cool. I do really appreciate that you kind of went that little extra mile so people can have fun and make their own handle scales. I mean, it'd be really cool to see what people come up with being able to do that. Does come with this nice lanyard on here. You would have to take the lanyard off to swap the scales out, believe, looking at it, obviously. But you have you can see there on the screws, they have a nice notch for a screwdriver. So very cool. And man, this thing does have a nice little, pretty wicked little edge. Yeah, you see that, took the hair off my hand nicely there. So very slicey little blade, but man, it's got enough beef behind it to where it's going to be able to do a little bit more hard use stuff. And the sheath, again, is very nice as well. So, I mean, it pops right in here. Again, you could put a deep carry concept pocket clip on here, pocket carry this, throw this in your little go bag. You can neck knife carry this. Basically the sky's the limit on how you want to figure out how to carry this little guy. Excuse me. So very, very cool. I just really love the attention that they put into kind of the packaging of the knife and giving you kind of information that a lot of other companies don't give you. So I thought that was really cool. I appreciated that quite a bit. So guys, let me give you the specs on this. I'm kind of getting enamored with this a little bit. So this is the Lander 4 fixed blade. There are folding versions of this knife. There's several variations of this knife in a folder. I believe there's a couple of variations of this even as a fixed blade. I could be wrong on that, but the Lander 4 fixed, it is a drop point blade. It does have canvas micarta. I'm not sure this is like a green canvas micarta. I do actually have another set of handle scales for this. It's more of a black canvas micarta. I just don't want to take my lanyard off. I like it. I would not be able to tie that back the same way if I took it off. This is canvas micarta. It is 14C2 in steel. You're coming in with a Rockwell hardness of 60 to 62. You do have a flat grind. Your blade length is 2.6 inches. So this is actually going to be a very good knife for people to carry if they live in restrictive states. Some places don't allow you to carry a blade over 3 inches or 4 inches. This is going to fit nicely into that little niche of being able to carry this in most places. Overall, definitely check your local laws, so don't quote me on that 100%. Your overall length is 5.9 inches. You do have a blade thickness of 0.1 or 2.54 millimeters. The handle thickness is 0.3 or 7.62 millimeters. The weight on this is 3.4 ounces, so it's super light. I mean, realistically, if you wanted to, looking at it's a skeletonized handle. I mean, if you wanted to, you could probably pop these handle scales off completely and just run it as a skeletonized knife and keep it even less weight. The only problem I think you'll run into, though, is your sheath would not work at that point. Actually, looking at the sheath, I would guarantee it wouldn't work because it's molded around the handle scale. So you would maybe have to buy a different sheath or make your own if you did that. What was I saying? Oh, the weight is 3.4 ounces. I don't know. It doesn't list what the weight is with the sheath, but if the weight is 3.4, you're probably looking at maybe 5-6 ounces at the most. The blade finish, they're calling this moon dust. So that's kind of cool. Nice. It's got a nice kind of like light gray texture, a little bit of a distressed look. It's kind of cool. And then again, your blade angle, which they even list on their website, is 17 to 20 degrees for your edge angle. So very nicely done, guys. I really digging this. But proof is in the pudding, right? We got to see how well this edge is going to hold up over here at the testing area. So let's get over there and let's put this lander forward to the test. All right, everybody, we're over here at the testing area. We're ready to put this lander forward to some work, and let's get this little guy out. Now, again, this is going to be more designed for around your everyday use, light carry, light usage type of knife. I wouldn't say that this is, I mean, that's actually thick enough that you probably can do some heavier duty stuff with it. And we're probably going to test that out a little bit. But it's going to be more for, cutting boxes, opening up letters, envelopes, cutting rope, paracord, stuff like that, doing some finer notching work for maybe some traps and things like that. So come in here, right through that paracord, no problem. This little 20-degree edge is nasty sharp. So had to cut some rope up a little bit. If you had to come in here, do a little chop, bam, chop it in half, not a problem. Checking this edge, because this is a little bit of a thinner knife with this flat grind, so definitely going to keep checking this edge, because like right then I did a chop right into the stump. Yeah, there's no chip, no roll, nothing, so that's nice. Let's jump where, oh, there it is. Got this yellow poly rope here, guys, so we're going to fold this over. You guys gotta excuse me if I sound a little congested. The allergies are kicking in. It's a little bit tougher to, not tougher for the knife, but for me, because I have the way I have to hold it because it's such a short piece. But look, it definitely cut through there. Not a problem. Get in. Here's it's kind of thicker, kind of like a cheapy cotton poly rope. Look at that, slicing right through. Absolutely no problem. And it feels good, guys, because there's actually a little bit of jimping right here on the back, if you guys can see that. It's real slight, real subtle. It's not overly aggressive, but once my fingers press down, it's locked on there. So I'm able to come in and do those nice little pushes. Man, all of a sudden my allergies are kicking in. So we have this kind of cheapy ratchet strap. It's nothing super hardcore, but it's meant to hold some weight. Look at that. Cutting right through that. Not a problem. So, I mean, again, I didn't expect that it would have too much of a problem doing that. Let's see what this little drop point can do penetration-wise, guys. So, again, it's little knife. There's not necessarily a finger guard on here. So you definitely, if you're going to have to stab something, definitely be careful. The way I'm going to do this is I'm going to rock my hand over the top. I got my thumb locked on here to try to keep my index finger locked over here, kind of to keep my hand from sliding down. Hopefully I don't. So here we go. Oh, that's pretty impressive, actually. I've had some pointier, skinnier knives not penetrate like that. Look at that. Yeah, we got about we almost got halfway through this catalog, guys. Let me put it this way. We got about half of the blade through there. That's actually a pretty good little penetration right there with this little knife. Let's do that again. I'm going to put my finger over the top again so I don't slide down. Yeah, good quarter of the way through that catalog. Yeah, that's actually pretty good, man. Check that tip out. Yeah, I mean, there's still a tip there. It's still just like it was when it came out of the box. So, hey, that's pretty good. I was not bad. I'm pretty excited about that. We do have this 3,000 PSI rated air compressor hose. Stuff is tough. It's nylon reinforced. So let's come in here and cut a piece of this off. And like to do this, like right away, right when I went to go to cut it, I actually wound up grabbing the knife like this, pinching it. So it's actually really cool. You can kind of pinch it, do a little bit more controlled cuts, if you will. Oh yeah. Cut that piece off nicely. Come in here, do a little push cut down. Bam, cut the hose right in half. So very cool. I like, and still, again, the edge is fine. Still feels really, really sharp. It's kind of cool because it almost just naturally felt okay to just pinch it like this and just, you know, or you can kind of hammer fist it if you will. But interesting how I just naturally wanted to grab it and pinch it like that. So actually, you know, if you're out as a hunter or something, you're skinning out some small game, like this could work really well. You pinch it, get your finger up here and do those nice little fine cuts and things like that. So very cool. So what else do we have here, guys? Oh, we have the fire hose. So guys, this stuff is thick, cut, abrasion resistant, 3 layers, 2 layers of canvas, a layer of glued in rubber. You guys can see that. And this stuff is made to go through car wreckage, broken glass, twisted metal, you know, all that bad stuff. So it's got to hold up. You can't be having holes punctured in it when you're trying to put out fires. And so it's definitely a tougher piece of material to cut. And we're going to cut it. We're going to put this right here, stand this up, and we're going to cut a piece of this off. Oh, guys, this little skinny 20-degree edge, slice through this like butter. Look at that. That was a quick cut. I ain't gonna lie, that was fast. Oh yeah, still taking a little bit of hair off my hand. That's still a wicked little edge even after cutting through that. Oh yeah, guys, I don't know. I got a little sidetracked there. Cutting through this hose typically actually acts kind of like sandpaper to the edge of the knife. It'll actually dull a knife fairly quickly, or at least take that really acute edge off of it. And this still got a pretty damn acute edge to it. Yeah, there's no. I mean, not that cutting through that would chip or roll the edge anyway, but it's still held up. But let's put our finger over the top, do the stab test again. Yep, right there, pierce through. The only thing that stops it's the stump. Yeah, look at that. That's nicely done. So that tip, even though it's a little bit of a thinner tip, is still there, stabbing into that stump. So, guys, so doing some of your EDC basic cutting tasks, yeah, you're definitely going to be fine. Let's say you got to come in, make some fire curls, right? So I really suck at doing fire curls like this. Actually, that's not even the right piece right there. Look at that. Every time I do it like this, I wind up breaking these things off. But this end piece right here is a fire curl. So let's put that down right there. Let's grab this piece. I like doing it this way. I like sticking it into the stump. I'll flip the stick around, and then I'll just work the stick back and forth and make the fire curls this way. Kind of hard to see, but this is like a multi-layered fire curl. These little guys coming off like this. Look at that. Definitely use this to make some fire curls if you need to. Whew, better be careful to cut myself. Man, I still got a really good little edge, man. I like this thing. It's a pretty good little knife. That's not what I wanted. Where did my... Sorry guys, I got all kinds of pieces of wood down here. I'm always trying to find the ones that I need for. So let's say you were out and you had to make a tent stake. Okay, that's what I like to do. It's a pretty common thing that people might have to make when they're out camping. You buy a tent, right? You go to Walmart, you buy a tent. You're like, I'm going camping. The tent stakes and those things are horrible. You start trying to hammer it into some hard ground. All of a sudden they're breaking, they're bending. You're like, crap, I need some tent stakes. Grab you some pieces of wood and make a tent stake. So we got this little piece here. Typically what I like to do is cut them down to a point like so. So we do have a little knot on the end there. So typically what I like to try to do is, this isn't a chopper guys, it's super light, but we're gonna if you wanted to, you can come in and quickly, I wouldn't say quickly, I mean, I'm moving the blade quickly, but you could try to chop your way down. This knife is so light, it's going to take you a minute to do that. But one thing doing this does do is puts a little pressure on that edge. But you can see I was able to kind of chip away at it, but it's not necessarily designed to do that, so it's not going to work too well at that. And I don't know, some people would even argue that maybe this isn't even a knife designed to do a tent stake anyway. But again, we like to operate over here at Straight Edge Knives on the what if, you know. And a lot of people are like, what's the best knife out there? Well, it's like my good buddy Walter Matthews told us in a survival class I took in the Everglades. The best knife out there is the knife that you got. You could literally have the world's greatest knife, but if it isn't on you, it ain't gonna do crap for you, right? And this may have been what you had on you that day. So that's why I like to say, sometimes I like to push these knives outside the comfort zone, so to speak, do some stuff that it's maybe not necessarily designed to do, just because it's maybe what you needed to do at that time. So let me know what you guys think about that. Do you guys think that that's a good way to think of it, or think it's just kind of ridiculous, you know? So leave it in the comments below. Also, make sure you hit like, subscribe. Helps the channel out, guys. At a minimum, hit like. So come down here. Don't have it necessarily to a super sharp point, but you know, I'm sure you guys don't want to sit there and listen to me ramble on. But that's good enough of a point where you could drive that into the ground to help secure it. And then what we need to do next is make a notch. So there's a kind of a backwards notch, but I'm going to come up here to this spot right here, flip this around, and we're going to make a notch over here. So let's go. So typically the way I like to do this is I like to come in and I'll just kind of slide the knife in a little bit deeper each time. Get it to just kind of a certain point and then stop. You got to be careful when you do this that you don't go too deep. If you can see, the knife's coming in at an angle, right? If you go too deep into the stake and the wind gets really bad, you could break your stick, or even just in, you know, tying it off, you could break it, or as you're hammering it in. So you don't want to go too deep, but I typically like to get it just like that. And then I'll take the knife and I'll come in right where I was stopping at, and I'll just kind of rock it back and forth, and I'll cut those pieces out. And again, you could save these for making a fire. And then you just come in here, clean it up a little bit. Maybe get it just a little deeper if you need it. And now you got a notch that you can tie your paracord around as you put your tent stake in the ground, and it's not going to slide off. So it's just, when I make these, it's not necessarily like, hey, if a knife can't make a tent stake, it's no good. No, I do this because I want to show you guys a little bit of the harder use, a little bit of the carving capabilities of a knife by making the stake point, and then some of the bushcraft utility-ness of like making the notch. So I can't sit here and make traps and stuff like that if I don't know how to make them, but the few things I do know how to do, I like to show it because it kind of shows that, you know, this is the knife that you're stuck with. Can you do some stuff with it? Yeah. So there you go. So had to do some bushcrafty stuff with it for sure. Is this knife a batoner? No, I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys baton with this knife. It's just not going to do it because it's not designed for that. But we are going to baton with it a little bit. Again, this is the only knife that you got. And this is what you got to do. This is what you got to do. So here is a piece of a tree. This isn't like a really super giant piece of wood, but you know, again, this isn't a giant knife either. So you're not going to be batoning this piece of seasoned almond wood with this knife. It's just not going to work. But you know, you might have to do something a little bit smaller for whatever reason. So we'll come in here. Boom. Let's check this. Still nice and straight. Hey, that baton through that nicely, man. That little flat grind, it just kind of pushed its way through, and then as it got to the top, it split the wood. But what I was actually really curious about was that's that edge. Look at that. It's still nice. It's still it's still perfectly fine. So if you had to baton through something, you can. Let's do that again. Let's go with this is a slightly bigger piece, right? Not much bigger, but it is a little bigger. Again, I only have 2 point something inches to work with here. That sounded bad. And let's put this right here. You know what's nice is I'm not like having to like really pound super hard onto it, except I think I'm going to have to right now because we are coming into this little knot right here, if you guys can see that. So definitely testing that edge. Booyah. So right there, you can see that knot. It went in. It kind of stopped right there and then it broke off. But I mean, that's pretty good. It's a pretty good little test of this edge and strength. Man, that's still a good little edge, guys. Still good. I impressive. That's pretty good. Guys, let's do a little bit of a tip test here. Let me find the right piece of wood here. That's got too many nails in it. Oh, there we go. Break that off. So here's a piece. It came off a pallet. It's nothing crazy. But we're going to come in here, lock my finger over the top, and we're going to just... Okay, so I wouldn't recommend this to be like a hard stabber, guys. I do have to every time readjust my hand. And if you're not careful, and you don't readjust your hand, there is a chance that you could slip over. Again, this knife isn't designed for this. I'm actually just doing it more to test the tip for you guys. Yeah, it's still got a pretty good little tip there. It's still the same type of tip that it was. You see all the little stab marks I did in there. Now we're going to put a lot of pressure on this tip and edge right here. We're going to make we're going to push in, do a little bow drill divot, if you will. Again, I like doing this because it tests that tip. It tests typically when you get to the tip of a knife, that's where it's going to be thinner. It's going to have any edge rolling, chipping, or damaging. I feel like that's where it's going to happen. Especially just doing this. This isn't like super hard right here, but it's definitely going to put some pressure on it. You're putting a lot of lateral pressure, if that's the right word, onto that edge as you're digging through here. So that's why I like to do it, test it out. Yeah, it's still good. Look at that. Nice. And then there's a little hole. You guys can see it drilled in there. So awesome, man. Yeah, guys, it's a pretty solid little knife. This Lander 4, I mean, it's not an overly big knife by any means. You know, just keep in mind that what it's designed for is EDC smaller use task. But you know, if you had to come in and put a little bit of harder use on it, batoning through some thicker pieces of wood, can it, you know, what I really wanted to see was this flat grind and 20-degree edge. Was it going to be able to handle that, you know? And it did. It handled it pretty good. It was able to pound through a couple of pieces of wood, some a little bit thicker than others. Again, is it designed to be a batoner? Absolutely not. I do not recommend you go around batoning with this thing. It was just kind of a little last minute, you know, like I said, that's the knife you got and that's what you're stuck with, and man, do what you got to do, you know. Here's something I did want to try too real quick. Again, this isn't a chopper, but we're going to utilize this lanyard, a couple of finger, and we're going to do a couple little just kind of whip chopping, right? So nothing crazy. This isn't like a super big, thick piece of wood, but I'm just kind of curious to see, you know, if you had to maybe chop some little things, you know, whip chopping them, could you? Get testing that edge, putting a lot of force down on here. I can see that if you had to keep doing this for a long time, it, like, because the knife is moving back and forth, it could possibly rub a blister on your hand. But don't suspect that you'd be doing this for a long time with this knife. Especially because with a stick this big, honestly, come on, we'd just break it, right? But I really wanted to do this more so to test, to just put a lot of force onto that edge. It has a really high Rockwell hardness, so bam, there it goes. So obviously took a lot longer than it probably should have. We would have just broke it, but the point of that wasn't necessarily to see if this is the world's greatest chopper. It was to see how this edge holds up. There you go. Still rocking and rolling. Let's get a piece of this rope here. So after all that, let's see if we can cut through this rope easily. Yep. There you go. So, guys, Lander 4 from KNAFS Knives. Pretty cool little blade, guys, for just a, it's like, again, a small EDC blade that you can carry around town, not worry about necessarily knife laws in your area. Again, check your knife laws. You know, don't quote me. I'm not a lawyer. But, you know, this is just a very unassuming little knife that actually could put in some really good work. This is actually a really cool little knife. The flat grind lends itself well to being a little slicer. It's got enough beef behind it where if you had to do a little bit of harder task with it, you can, and not worry about breaking it or bending it, because this isn't bent at all or nothing. The steel that they use with the Rockwell, and this edge is still nice, really nice. And these handle scales are still on nice and tight. The fact that you can 3D print your own because they give you the QR code is really cool. It's just a really cool, fun little knife, man. So, guys, I would definitely suggest looking into picking one of these up, man. If you're just looking for something small, again, this could easily go into a little go bag or a pocket organizer, or you know, be a cool little knife to throw in, you know, your wife's purse or whatever. You know, it's just whatever you could think you could use a little knife like this for. This is definitely a really solid option. So, guys, definitely go check it out. I'm going to leave links to KNAFS website down below. I'll try to find some other links to other places where you could buy this and leave those below as well. If you like what you're seeing, guys, please make sure you hit that like, subscribe button. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this little guy. And definitely go check out KNAFS Knives, man. Definitely a cool little setup. If you even like the blade shape and you like a folder, they make this in a folder as well. So definitely go check those out. So thank you for watching. I greatly appreciate everybody. Stay safe, stay sharp, and we'll see you on the next one.